Hello everyone, I'm Sheldon Baker, editor for Innovision Health Media and your host for Healthy Bytes. My guest today is Jama Lambert, a well-known professional in the functional medicine laboratory field. Throughout her 15-year career, Jama has held key positions in laboratories, culminating as Vice President of Education for Cyrex Laboratories. Jama has co-authored over 20 publications, lectured on 4 continents, and provided global support to numerous healthcare professionals with educational materials. She is the author of the Gluten 101 series of books, which educate people about gluten and its associated disorders and helps make patients more informed decisions about their diet and lifestyle, as well as empower individuals so they can thrive without gluten. Jama is joining me today from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Jama, welcome to Healthy Bytes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Gluten has become a serious health issue for you and many Americans. I imagine that's why you wrote the Gluten 101 books. As I mentioned at the top of the interview, you have written 2 books. Briefly, can you summarize Gluten 101, a survival guide, and then your other book, Gluten 101, what you need to know about celiac disease and non-gluten sensitivity, which looks at gluten in another light?
Sure. The Gluten 101, a survival guide, is a step-by-step guide to help someone thrive without gluten. I literally wrote a chapter on that on preparing your home, and it is literally step-by-step. First, you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and to help the patient transition into the gluten-free lifestyle. There are other chapters in the book, of course, how to shop for healthy foods, watchwords to avoid, certain non-food items that contain gluten and you need to avoid, how to navigate parties and travel and restaurants. And there's only one brief chapter on the why. The rest is all how. It's compact, easy to understand, and a terrific essential guide for someone who's just been told that they need to give up gluten. The more advanced book, the Gluten 101, what you need to know about celiac disease and non-celiac gluten sensitivity, that one is more advanced. I call it my immunology book. That one contains the many years that I have delved into all things wheat, gluten, and associated autoimmunity. That one is based on all of that research that I did in order to educate doctors properly. I poured it into a book for patients. So I go into what we have done to wheat and gluten and why it's harming the body. So not just horticulturally, but then once it gets into the body, what are the different mechanisms that cause gluten to disrupt our immune system and self-attack? I also have chapters on dairy. I have chapters on healing the gut because the gluten-free diet is the first step. It's not the only step you need to obtain optimal health. So it goes beyond just understanding celiac disease versus non-celiac gluten sensitivity versus gluten intolerance. And yes, gluten sensitivity and gluten intolerance are 2 different things. It gives you the reasons why you need to adhere to your gluten-free lifestyle and potentially even wheat-free.
As I alluded to earlier, Jim, as I alluded to earlier, you yourself had, and I guess maybe you still do, have an issue with gluten. That's really why you wrote the books.
Well, I wrote the book because in my retirement, I spent years educating doctors, and during that time, they begged me to write something for patients that they could hand to the patient that they've just told to give up gluten. And I didn't have time because I was busy educating the practitioners. So in my retirement, I had time and I conversed with real people, not doctors, patients. And what I found out was there is far too much misinformation out there. there are far too many people feeling lost, looking for answers, and they just can't get legitimate answers to their questions. And so many people just give up. They get angry, they get depressed, and some do give up and go back to eating gluten. And I can attest that.
Jim, these books are really targeted to doctors who see patients with gluten issues.
Well, it's for patients. They're written for patients. Ideally, doctors who see these types of patients, anyone who is testing for gluten reactivity, anyone who automatically puts somebody on a gluten-free diet, a gluten and dairy-free usually in functional medicine. There's so many doctors that, oh, you have Hashimoto's, so we're going to just implement a gluten and dairy-free diet. They don't test, they just do it. So for any of those doctors that are doing those kinds of things, whether they're doing the testing or they're automatically putting their patients on a gluten-free diet, I feel that doctors should have these in their offices, and they can either sell it or give it to the patient at the end of the appointment. I can attest that from my own point of personal experience. When I was told that I needed to give up wheat, gluten, and dairy, it was before I was in this industry. I was not in functional medicine at the time. So at the time, when the doctor told me that, I was thrilled. Finally had an answer from a gastroenterologist to, all of my gastrointestinal problems. For years I had suffered. And I went home, I cleaned out my kitchen. I dumped out anything that had wheat, gluten, dairy in it, threw it in the garbage. I didn't give it away. I threw it away because to me it was garbage. And I realized that's when it actually hit me. I realized everything that I ate had wheat or gluten, dairy in it. And so I went to the grocery store. And today, shopping for groceries, you need a chemical degree or chemistry degree to understand what's in this stuff. And so I'm standing in the grocery store, and that's when it hits you. You're feeling lost. I can understand why people get depressed. And so I don't want doctors who are watching this to let their patients leave their offices feeling lost. You need to empower them. And that's what these books do. It gives them something to hold on. It gives them hope. It gives them a strategy to adopting a gluten-free lifestyle and understanding why they need to do it.
So gluten has been an issue for many years, maybe, well, I don't know how long exactly, but it seems like maybe in the last 10, 15 years, it's really come into the forefront.
It has. We have made it so much more toxic, especially in the US. And it goes beyond glyphosate. It's not just a glyphosate problem. It is the hybridization of the wheat. We have created new proteins in wheat that were not there within our own generation. 50 years ago, you look at the wheat that was available when I was a kid versus the wheat that they're producing today. They're not the same. There were new proteins in it. So I think that our food stuff has just gotten more toxic, and people are just becoming more aware of how harmful gluten is. And we're talking about it. We have social media now. So we're talking about it. And, there's a lot of misinformation out there because of social media. But I think people are becoming a lot more aware of it because of social media.
So the question is, have doctors beaten a path to your door to purchase these 101 books for their patients?
Well, when you consider how many functional medicine practitioners are out there, not to mention the allopathic doctors, I don't think there are enough doctors purchasing the book for their patients to have in their offices. So I would like to see more practitioners stocking it so that they can either give it or sell it to their patients. And if you see me at a conference, I'll sign it for you. I'll sign all your copies for you.
So if a patient's doctor hasn't made either book available to their patients, where can the books or how can the books be purchased?
Well, it's simple. You go online, and the books are available through Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, and Kindle. If you like paperback books, both Amazon and Barnes& and Noble carry the paperbacks. Kindle, of course, electronic version. Also, if you are vacationing in Puerto Vallarta, Organic Select sells the Gluten 101, what you need to know about celiac disease and non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Organic Select is an organic grocer slash cafe slash homeopathy store in Old Town Puerto Vallarta. So you can come down and enjoy our beaches, eat some tacos, soak in the vibes, and leave with a tool to help you thrive without gluten.
Jama, good luck with the book and good luck in continuing to stay healthy. I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on this beautiful day. I hope it's beautiful where you are as well.
It is. And thanks to all of you for watching Healthy Bites.